Good evening, good people. Welcome to the Beauty for Ashes room for another live podcast of Home Speaks. I am your host, Nicole, and tonight we are kicking off season 2. And I'll be talking about divorce. This is going to be part 2 from a man's perspective. So we're going to touch on the residue that divorce leaves behind and how we handle it after it's all said and done. After the judge stamps final, what's next? We're also going to talk a little bit about his book, God Trusted Me with the Mic. So before I do that, let me give a shout out to my niece, who is the owner of Z&Z Custom Designs. She does all my podcast flyers. I know y'all seen them flyers. They are fire. She does my illustration for my book. She does t-shirts, mugs, cutting boards, coasters, you name it, she does it. She does an outstanding job, and I'm not just saying it because she's my niece, but quality work is just quality work. So y'all be sure to hit her up to get some work done. So now on to our show for tonight. I am excited about this episode. Thank you all for coming in and joining. So tonight I have the pleasure of talking to the radio man himself. And let me bring him on screen.
What's going on?
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. So I have with me tonight Mr. Marcel McManus Sr. This man right here, he is a radio personality. He's a father, an author, a podcaster, a musician, a mentor, and a business owner at McManus Productions. So welcome. It's good to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Just awesome, good day. Been running around a little bit, but I'm here. Nevertheless, the radio man is here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm excited.
Okay. So, well, I'm glad that you're doing well. Let me first say thank you for your yes. Thank you for agreeing to come on and chat about a very sensitive subject, especially for a man. So I really appreciate it. I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of people who are going through divorce, anticipating a divorce, or already divorced and still dealing with the residue of it. So again, thank you. You ready?
I'm ready, girl. I'm gonna get my.
All right, let's get started.
For the German today.
Okay, so let me make this disclaimer first. We are not experts. We're just experienced. So the goal for tonight is, which is the goal that I try to reach in everything I do in ministry, because this is also a ministry for me, is to reach at least one person to show them that they're not alone and they aren't the only ones feeling the way they're feeling about this thing called divorce. So now if you follow me, then you know what's next. That's right. I got to give you a definition. I don't know what it is. I just like definitions. But so divorce is defined as the legal dissolution of a marriage by a court or a competent body. Now, people think that just because you sign a piece of paper, boom, it's over, everything's good to go. But it doesn't quite happen that way for everybody once the judge stamps the paper. So we're going to talk about it tonight and what that process looks like. And I won't do too much talking because I did a part 1 of divorce from a woman's perspective. So I'm going to let you have the floor. So give you as much time as you need to talk about it from your perspective. So let's just dive right in. So marriage was a goal for women. Most women, it's a goal. But unfortunately, for me, what I experienced, I did it without God's involvement, right? Not saying that we didn't know God at the time. We did know who God was. We just didn't involve him in the decision-making to get married. So we had already had 2 kids. I was like, hey, the next best thing, let's just get married, right? So the only thing really that changed, and I talk about this in my book, was my last name. That's the only thing that changed when I got married. Everything remained the same and then eventually dissolved. So, it's good in the beginning, of course, like with any relationship, but it just didn't end that way. So let's start at the beginning for you, Marcel. Why did you get married?
Whew, that's a good question right there. Why did I get married? Think about Tyler Perry with his movie. Why did I get married? Well, at the time of my life, I was in love with the person that I was dating at the time. Got engaged, and I thought that getting married would be something great for us to do because of the feelings that we had, and also, which I wrote in my first book, God Trusted Me with the Mic. Um, I had the pressure of feeling getting married because I was young in ministry, and they said that you're dealing with things in your flesh, and the best thing to do is get married. And because of the image that looks to part as if being in ministry, you need to be married, you don't need to be single out here and in the ministry doing too much. So on one hand, I felt pressure. On the other hand, there was definitely love and things that were there at that time. And so my purpose of getting married, thinking, hey, maybe this would be a better way for us to grow into what we're already doing. We got great goals, great vision, but we got this other thing that we're dealing with. Well, maybe this will fix it and solve it. We can move forward. And so my reasoning for marrying was to grow, to build, and to see where life could take us, and also to deal with the other situations that we had. So that's my honest answer.
Right. Okay. And that's understandable. There are pressures like, okay, now there were pressures for
Yep.
us. Like, you got two kids. What y'all doing? What y'all waiting on? And we go off like, okay, let's just do it without,
Yep.
okay, consulting God first. So it doesn't
And
always
I
work
think
out that way.
and I think the pressure of that sometimes when it comes down to the Christian world or the church world, religious world, I think they put so much emphasis on it because the Bible says this and the Bible says that. Well, the Bible says a lot of things, and a lot of times we don't take in consideration of what you mentioned earlier is do we consult God in our decision making, or we just gonna take the scripture, run with it, and never say,
Right.
okay, God, what do you think about this? Do you approve this? And that's one thing that I can say. I know you want to go to another question that will transition, but I want to say before I get there, there were situations that came up that was said, maybe y'all are going too fast.
Hmm.
Maybe it's infatuation. Maybe you shouldn't do it. Or it was different things that came up besides what people thought. We should have been more in tune with the Holy Spirit and
Right.
what he thought we should do versus what family and people and religious people thought we should do. So I want to play that part in there.
Oh yeah, that was good right there. So we're gonna fast forward into divorce because quite naturally that's what happened in both of our cases. Now, divorce can be hard and easy and simple, but for the
Hmm.
most people it's a grieving process, and some people don't really understand that. But it's a grieving process that doesn't always heal properly. And
Hmm.
that was very true for my case. And there's residue that's left behind. And oftentimes we just don't know what to do with it, how to handle it, or we don't even realize that we're still carrying it unless we're triggered by something or that person in particular. So
Hmm.
for you, what was that like for you? What was your initial response after acknowledging to yourself first that, okay, divorce is what needs to happen? What was that process like for you?
You know what? It was like, wow, we about to do this. And the reason that I say this because the D word, divorce, was thrown around so much that it was so ingrained in me that I believed it so much that I couldn't think of a better way because the Bible talk about how our words and our tongue, life and death lies in the power of your tongue. Words
Right.
are powerful. And so it was like, oh wow, we finally doing what has been thrown around so easily. We finally doing it. So it's like, wow, here we go. So what's next?
Right.
What's going to happen after we do what we have agreed to do? What's going to happen? And I personally had to deal with it in the aftermath of, okay, what people gonna think about me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing. And the people, I wasn't even concerned about anything else. It was like people, you in church, you supposed to be a minister, you're a radio personality, your family, everybody looking at you. And my response is like, okay, well, we're about to do it, but what people gonna think about me
Right.
after I do this? How am I gonna deal with this? Will I forgive myself for this? So it was a lot playing in my head with that at that time, and that was around 2021
Mhm.
when that came about. Yes.
Yeah, and it's hard to know you have to make a decision, and then yet
Ooh,
in the back
God.
of your mind it's like, okay, now is this going to change how people see me, especially if
Yes.
you're in ministry?
Oh
right? That's
God.
more pressure because they're like, now you supposed to have your stuff together. You in ministry, but
To death do you
you
part. You can't leave.
you
You know,
doing
you
this?
supposed to stay. Yeah,
Mm,
and even the fact that oh, you left her with kids. You know, I mean, I heard that after the fact. I know we talked dealing with here, but even after the fact, something that was brought to me by he left her with all them kids and all this different stuff like that. It's like, what in the world? Like, you don't even know what happened. You just taking
right.
a scenario or taking what you've seen or heard and making your own story an illusion and never talking to both people to get understanding. And so, as you were saying, and understanding, acknowledging how to deal with that, knowing it was best to do that, that was a hard thing to be able to sit down and say, "Hey, this is what's best for us."
Wow.
Especially after you have went, okay, God said you my wife. And then all of a sudden you go through it and you go to get the extra dad for hand of marriage and get the blessings of the parents and the family. You do all these things to now 12 years later say, okay, it's time to cut. I gotta go. This ain't working. It's like, what in the world?
Yeah.
How do you
What,
process that?
right. What do you do
Yeah.
next?
What
And
do you do
still keep
next?
your sanity.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want
It
to
was
go
a
there.
hard process too. So let's talk about the kids. Like,
Mm.
so and how it affected them. So for me, when I told my kids, it was a very hard process to watch. My daughter, she took it hard. She took it worse, but she's a daddy's girl. So that affected her a little bit more. Now, my son, you gonna laugh at this now. It's funny now, but my son was like, whoever house the PlayStation gonna be at, that's where I want to go. Like, excuse me. He's supposed to say I want to stay with mama. But no, and he was dead serious. Like, who gonna have the
Yeah.
PlayStation? But it was hard to watch that because they didn't. He was a little bit younger, but she was old enough to understand what was going on. So it was hard to watch her not get to see her dad every day because, like I said, they were like this. You couldn't separate them. They like and to this day she's still a daddy's girl. So it was hard
Hmm.
for me as a mom to like, okay, this is part of my doing that your child is now suffering. So what was that transition like for you when you initially had the conversation with your kids, if they were old enough to understand? What was that process like for you?
Oh my God, I would never forget that day. Never forget that. Actually, we sat down, we talked with them, said, "Hey, we need to talk with y'all." They just sitting around looking and waiting to hear what we had to say. And we was like, "Hey, mom and dad decided to not be together anymore. We're gonna get a divorce." You can tell they were sad. And the baby girl, she said something that was just so interesting and just like, what in the world? She's like, "Well, if you guys can't get along and if it's what's best, maybe y'all have to go y'all separate ways." I was like, what in the world? They can feel that maybe that was the best because the tension and things that was in the house. And
Right.
that's sometimes something that we as people don't want to talk about and be real about it. And for the last 2 years, I've been so different, more transparent, more realistic, and not realizing what goes on in the home will affect the children.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I had to really sit and look and realize like how much have you affected your children with them hearing or seeing certain things that they shouldn't have seen that's going to affect them. And
Right.
so to hear them express what they thought and what they felt, it was like, God, I hope they don't resent me or resent their mother for this breakup and this split because when you're a family, that's what you know, that's what you're taught. They think it's going to last forever and not understanding that. So for them, it was a lot
Mhm.
getting through that. Um, one day at a time type situation, not knowing
Right.
how this is going to work, what we're going to do. Y'all living here, daddy living here. That was a lot to deal with, but they dealt with it the best they could on the level that they knew how to understand that and that we can relate to them.
Right. And then let me just say this about for most kids, divorce is hard enough. And one of my pet peeves, oh my God, is oversharing information with the kids about the
Mm,
divorce and or you have the bad talking, the bashing of the other parent that's not, don't have you primarily. And it just boils my blood that people stoop to that level. Yeah, you're upset. Things may have happened that shouldn't have happened,
I agree.
but the kids are off limits. They
Yes.
don't. It's just some things that they shouldn't be privy to. They don't need to hear the gritty details. Okay, this is what happened. Explain it to them where they can understand. Okay, we still love you. We're still gonna take care of you as parents, but we just don't work together.
Correct.
But some people do that. Did you ever experience that yourself, or did you yourself do that and had to go back and make that right?
In the sense of what again now? Making it right for us.
How you talked about their mom,
Oh
or if
yeah,
you if
most
you
definitely.
experienced that on your side where
Yeah,
you were talked about.
and I wanted to make sure that they understood that their mom will always be respected no matter what.
Right,
Making sure things wasn't said, they take it the wrong way because it's easy for us to say something and it go the wrong way and the child take it the wrong way. So there were some times I think we both had to be conscious and very cautious of that, making sure that we don't say anything that will make them feel some type of way at times.
right,
Because I mean, you have emotions are all over the place. I mean, let's just be real. The
yeah,
emotions are all over the place, but we have to make sure that they realize that both parents should respect each other in the midst of all that, so that the children won't have to be siding. Should I love mommy
right,
more? Should I love daddy more? You know, how do I do that? It should be where they don't know really all that's going on. They know there's something going on. So,
right.
but there were some learning challenges. I'm gonna just leave it like that. There were some learning challenges within that, but we made it through that. I'll say that.
Yeah, and they you think now that it's over and you go back and you look at it. For me, I could see where they knew a lot more than I thought they did. Even though
Yes.
we thought we were shielding them from the bad stuff. They like in conversations now, my children are grown. So if we have conversations about it, it's like, yeah, I knew. We knew when y'all weren't talking, we knew when y'all were mad. And and I'm like, now with us, we made sure even if we had an argument or if we didn't agree on something, we never discussed it in front of the kids. We never argued in front of the kids or cursed at each other or anything like it in their presence. But they know. They can sense
They know.
tension. They picked up on all that and they be like, yeah, mama, we knew. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, y'all were trying to act like y'all were good, but we knew better.
Yeah.
And so it does affect them because they take that with them and it changes their personality.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, I had to go back and be like, nah, okay, so whatever, try to clean up what the
What you
mistakes
missed
made
it.
during that process to make sure,
Most
okay,
definitely.
the divorce isn't gonna happen for everybody. It
Yeah.
works sometimes. Just for us, it just did. So I had to make sure that I went back and cleaned that up and owned my part in kind of tainting their image of what divorce. I mean, what marriage should look like.
Correct.
Yeah, but you have to. It was hard trying to protect them emotionally when
Of course.
you didn't even know how to protect yourself. So
Yourself. Yeah.
what did you what was your go-to to protect their emotional side, their mental health side as best as you could? What did you do?
Letting them know that daddy is there and daddy is available. You know, to talk how you feel. If you're feeling some type of emotion, let's talk about it. Let's pray about it and to know that daddy is not gone. I'm still in your life. I may not be living there presently. I'm accessible via text, video call. I don't care where I'm at, what I got going on. I'm going to answer their call. I'm going to be there available for you. I'm one drive away and I'm on the way. So them to know that I'm accessible. Because sometimes when you the home is split like that,
Hmm.
it makes them feel like, well, I can't talk to my dad about this. I can't express how I feel.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
best thing I knew to do to give them a accessibility. You can talk about it. I remember my baby girl was asking one time, like, Daddy, you know, just why? I don't understand, Daddy. Just I don't understand why. Or are y'all going to get back together? All these different questions she had. I tried my best to answer it, or we set her down to answer it, not
Hmm.
rejecting her feelings, not rejecting the
Right.
other one's feelings. Some of the other ones didn't talk as much as the baby girl did, but she was trying to understand just, but why, Daddy? I don't
Yeah.
understand why. And so that was hard at times to hear her questioning these things and, you know, wonder what's going to happen and what if this happen? What if that happen? So
Right.
um, the best thing I know to do is be available and be accessible to them and pray
Right.
for them. And I encourage other people. It's something that we didn't do. I wish I would have done is to help get them some professional counseling and
Oh
someone
yeah.
who can help guide them through that. That is a safe place, and that's one thing I wish that they would have been guided through that in a way that maybe we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know what to say. Someone knew how to professionally do it, would ease their minds enough to know that not only are the parents going to be okay, but the children themselves are going to be okay. Because
Right.
sometimes a child may think, "Oh, it's my fault. Something wrong with us, or we too much, or whatever." So that's just something that somebody that is experiencing that. I encourage you to make sure your children get counseling and definitely get counseling for yourself.
Oh, definitely. And I didn't do it then, and that was part of the problem that you us when I say us
Us, said
us
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 is
we put this stigma on therapy and counseling, and it made us think, oh, counseling ain't for people like us. It's for
yep,
people, white people, or anybody but us. We don't do
yes.
counseling. We keep our stuff in the house. We sweep stuff under the rug. We act like stuff ain't going on. And
Keep
it
secrets.
yeah, oh yeah. And they teach us how to be secretive. And
Yep,
then they wonder, well, why I didn't know this, or why did it's a learned behavior.
learn
So that
behavior.
stigma, it's generations of picking it up. That I advocate for it because once I went and had it myself, I'm like, okay, it stops with me. Yes, I'm an advocate for counseling, therapy. It's for everybody, and it's absolutely
Everybody.
necessary. It's a lifesaver. And had I known then, I probably wouldn't have been as messed up as I was all those years. So
Yep.
yeah, counseling is definitely a must. But during that period, did you see where your children's behavior changed negatively towards either of you? Like, sometimes they do pick sides, even though,
Yeah.
you're not going to say, okay, pick my side, but they do sometimes on their own if they feel more comfortable with the other parent.
Yes.
Did you
Yeah.
experience that?
Yeah, it was a little small behavior difference with a few of them, and me learning to accept that and finding a way to reach them. And like I said before, to be accessible and available for them to understand. I want to hear your emotions. I want to know how you feel. Are you okay? Are you upset with me about something? You have any questions? Um, but they slowly adjusted well. I thank God for that. When they come see me and spend time with me, I can feel the love. I can still feel that they don't feel no type of way. The daddy, we're excited to see you. What we're gonna do? So I didn't feel like that push away. Like, no, we don't want to go with you. We don't want to talk to you because of whatever. So
Right.
I feel like they adjusted well with
Hmm.
that, and still currently doing well. So, but their
Yeah.
behaviors has its moments where I had to accept whatever's going to happen. I had to remember this was part of a decision I decided to make.
Right. Yeah. The residue of the decision to be divorced.
Yes,
It
most
affects
definitely.
everyone. And Sweet said, that's a great giving the children a space to express how they feel. And most times we don't do that. We don't give them the space to say how they feel because we don't want to be offended. We don't
That's
want to
right.
be like, okay, you trying to call me out on something?
Right.
But if we want to be able to express ourselves in what we're feeling and have the
Hmm.
other person who's receiving what we're saying to respect it and to honor it and to actually listen, we should give our children the same space to have a
That's correct.
conversation and not get
Most
in our
definitely.
feelings like, oh, so you trying to take sides, or you call me a bad parent, and not be offended, but just hear what they're saying. And I think they'll open up more about the things that they know that we think they don't know. So
Hmm.
yeah, definitely give them the space to have those conversations. But so after trying to get things a little bit back to normal, how did you bridge the gap? What was that process like for you with co-parenting? And how long did it take you to get to uh, a place where it was like normal
Gotcha.
without being kind of forced, if that makes sense?
It took a little minute. Co-parenting is definitely different once you split or you call it or you separate. I need the better word, separate. Different points of views, different mindset starts changing. There's no more how we did it here. It's all of a sudden now I'm gonna do it this way or the influence of other people.
Right,
Co-parenting took a minute. It took a minute to try to find the balance and the ways of it, and still to the day it has its challenges, which I think everybody does.
right,
It's been now we've been not together 2 years and some months, and divorced officially a year and 8 months. So it has had its moments, its challenges, but we on a good space where we need to talk about something with business, what we got going on. It flows a whole lot better. Whatever needs to be said, it can say with respect and decency. We can handle what we got to handle. It has had its challenges, but we're doing well with that so far, and I thank God for that. Um,
yeah,
I
that's
don't.
good.
I always told her beforehand I didn't never want to be where we were enemies. As much as
Right,
possible, let's be peaceful. Let's deal with things. Let's keep people out. This is our situation, our stuff. Let's handle this the best way because we got to remember we got life to go for life.
right,
We don't have just until they. We got longevity to go. You got college. You got
right,
just when they got to school or the marriage, whatever emergency situations will forever their parents. And one
right,
thing I didn't want because I experienced some parenting things growing up for my home growing up, it wasn't so well with that. So I didn't want it where me and their mother couldn't handle business, we couldn't talk, and we couldn't show them that we both can be there, be available, and most of all, get along. I didn't want
right,
that. I seem totally different, and I told my mom, and I told my children, people, I don't want that. I told not my children, I told my ex-wife, I want us to be where we can get along and show people we
right,
can co-parent and co-parent well. You can do whatever you want to do, talk who you want to talk to. I can live my life, but we have to remember, we are parents that we created children and brought them into the world. We have a responsibility to live a life in front of them that they respect us both. Not have to question, I don't know about that. I don't know about this. But we have to have that balance and
right.
respect each other so co-parenting can be effective, easy, and respected more than anything. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, and it can be easy if we take self out of it. If we
Yep.
put what happened, our feelings, our emotions in the back and concentrate, okay, the kids should come first, their well-being, their
Yep.
mental health, all that should come first. It would be easy, but sometimes when we in our feelings and we hide, we don't think about it until after. Like with us,
Yes.
co-parenting, it took a while because I was still mad. So we did a drop off pickup spot away from each other's residence, and when I tell you I wouldn't even look at them, I ain't looking at them. I ain't even gonna
Hmm.
say hey, unless it was something I needed to relay about the kids. My hand on the steering wheel, y'all get out, and I'm gone. So it
Yep.
took a while for the madness to wear off, and
Yep.
then when I started understanding, okay, everything happens for a reason, and the healing process started, then I was able to be cordial, to limited conversation, but cordial, not disrespectful. And now we're friends. I'm like, what? We're we're better friends, better apart than
They're
we were when
better.
we were
They're
together.
better
And it's
together.
crazy to me. But yeah, it took
It's
it
like
took a
that.
while.
Yeah, it's like that at times. I don't think this is my thing, and I explained this to her, which we didn't do. I wish we'd have had exit counseling or exit conversation to understand, to make sure whatever we feeling, let's deal with this so our moving on can be easier. We don't have to be acting crazy in public and people, families don't see all this, whatever the case is. If you exit right, it
Hmm.
can go better later on down the road, and then you don't have to have all that madness and got to meet at
Yeah,
weird places and got the kid looking and can tell something's not right. Like you
Right.
said earlier, our kids, they know and they understand when something ain't right. They can tell, oh, such and such mad with such and such. We can tell. But if you deal with those things and get the closure and the conversation that's needed before leaving, you have a better chance with having a more cordial relationship more
Right.
easier than taking longer, and you can be friends. That was my
Yeah.
goal. Hey, let's just be friends. Let's be cool. Be there for each other, whatever kind of way. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to be all out hanging out at the mall, kind of stuff like that. But
Right.
let's just be cool. That was my goal because we done went this long
Right.
being together 15 years and they become enemies, like it don't make sense. Things
Yeah.
just don't work out. We all got exes. Everybody got somebody they went with a long time ago. And then
Right.
you got some of the same people that you were ex with. All of a sudden now y'all all friends and cool, and you talk about the folks you will go with, and they talk about the folks they go with, and what went wrong. But sometimes marriages we don't end it in such a way where it
Mhm.
can be done where people feel comfortable to be cordial. Because like
Right.
you said, when the madness is not gone, you got all these questions in your head, and your
Hmm.
guard is up, and things are thrown at each other. Of course, it'll make it harder. So I just want to elaborate on that part there. So exit
Yeah,
and
and
night.
it definitely does make it more difficult to actually come together, at least for that moment,
That moment.
where you have to deal with the kids. But yeah, we it took a while for us, but once I started the healing process, which is
Uh oh.
very important because we like to skip the healing process and wonder why ain't nothing working out. Ain't nothing good happening. Is you missed the part. You bypassed the healing because you didn't want to do the work to heal.
That's right.
So once I started the healing process and I accepted the reality, okay, these papers I'm looking at, it says filed, and it's a done deal. So it's real now. So once I started working on myself, it was a lot easier to deal with the kids. And because for some time, like when they came back to me, they want to tell me, "Oh, this is what we did at Daddy house," and and I was still in my feelings. So I didn't want
Your
to hear it.
feelings.
So it changed their personality, and I mean, I had to go back and apologize for that too. But my behavior changed their personality and how they dealt with me when they felt like they couldn't enjoy their dad. Now I will never take it from him. He was the best father ever. We just weren't good together. But in the process, in between that healing process where I hadn't reached healing yet, yeah, it was hard for them to be happy about something they did with their dad, and I didn't allow them that space
That space.
to say, "Hey, let me tell you about our weekend with dad." Okay. And they might start, but my daughter could read my face and she still says it today. I, she said she would just stop talking because she can tell by my face
You
that
can
I was
tell.
annoyed. I didn't want to
That's
hear it
yeah.
without saying, I said, okay, don't tell them to hush. Don't let them have their moment. But I couldn't control my face. I couldn't control my body language. And by doing that, and I didn't realize it until after that I changed their personality. So when they were with
Yeah.
me, they were one way. And then when they were with their dad, there was a different way. And that was my doing.
Hmm.
So it's just something you got to go back and clean up. But once I got into that healing space, it was a lot easier to deal with everything that comes after the divorce. Because after they stamp the paper, it ain't over until it comes out of your system, until the
Yeah.
lesson is learned behind whatever caused the dissolution. So, what was your healing process like? What did you have to do to come out on the other side?
Ooh. What I had to do, wish I had a mirror in front of me. I had to take that mirror and look
Hmm.
myself in that mirror and admit to me every problem that I had.
Mm,
What I was doing that was not pleasing to the marriage, not pleasing to
right.
God. Issues that I had to be real first of all with me. Why
Yeah.
are you going through this divorce? Let's first deal with what you did, admit it, acknowledge it, then you can heal. You can't heal on something that you don't acknowledge. A
Exactly.
pain that's going in your body, it can't go away unless you define or identify what is causing this pain, what is causing this issue. When I did that, begin to realize you're going through a divorce. This is why. And how you're going to better yourself so you can properly, number one,
Hmm.
effectively and efficiently heal where you can be whole within yourself. Not for
Right.
anybody else at the moment, but for yourself. And I went through self evaluation. And when I tell you, I discovered so much about me that I was number one
Mm.
in denial with. I was so in denial of so many things of
Right.
having issues with not being faithful, having issues with lying, having issues with not being accountable. When I began to
Hmm.
realize that, I said, you know what, Marcia, that's what's causing the lack of your success. And even the Bible talks about how, when you don't do right to your spouse, your prayers are hindered to God. Certain things begin to happen that way. You lose that favor. Your wife supposed to bring favor.
Hmm.
I was losing that favor. And I had to realize no wonder things are not taking off for you. And it's something that I told her. I know it would hurt. I know it sounded crazy, but I told her this. I said, you know what? We will prosper more when we let this go than holding on and not doing right. And when I made the decision to say, you know what, let's go our separate ways, do what we got to do, self evaluation comes in, it seemed like all that I was praying for and looking for, it started happening. I was no longer tied to that covenant or agreed to that a covenant anymore because I became to realize when you're tied to something and you're not doing right by it, there's no way you expect God to bless you abundantly. If you don't properly and effectively heal within yourself,
Hmm.
you're going to be lying to yourself. You're going to miss out on so much. And people are
Oh
going to
yeah.
tell that you did not properly heal and you are not where you need to be. There's some things that you need to go back, fix, and work on. But that healing process, I went through a period of crying, went through a period of feeling remorse, went through a period of feeling guilty. I went through every emotion you can think to go through. God don't care. God don't love me. Nobody's not going to want to use me. I even fear I'm going to lose my job. Literally, just crazy stuff. Oh, then what's gonna get out about me? What she gonna tell people? What people are gonna come out and say? Well, it's like this.
Mm.
I don't know why this happened, but it's like when you go through a divorce or breakup, people want to start talking. Girl, let me tell you, I've been holding this. I ain't want to start nothing, but he did. So you didn't know he was in my inbox, and you don't know he was at me. I ain't want to tell you because all these things that I feared. When I came to the grips to realize that God has not given me the spirit of fear, I began to realize that if you deal with the truth and the reality of who you are, there's nothing that nobody can do, nothing nobody can say, or whatever the case is, that can deter you from your healing process, most of all, your deliverance. And when I
Right.
came through that and became to realize that God opened up my mind and brain to realize your healing process can go as slow as you want it or as fast as
That's
you want
it.
it.
That's
The
it.
Bible said, confess your faults one to another that you may be healed. I found some people that I can talk to, I can share, and I started healing. Some days I didn't understand all this stuff. Like, God, I am so sorry. I let you
Hmm.
down. I've embarrassed you. I embarrassed my wife at the time. I embarrassed her family, my people, all these different things I had to come to realize, you know what? Forgive yourself, Marcel.
Yeah.
Forgive you and then forgive others. So it took a while for the healing process, and when it did, I got through it, started getting through it. It started all making sense to realize it's gonna take a minute. It ain't gonna
Yeah.
happen all overnight. It's gonna take a minute. It took a while, took a process, and but it was a journey, man, for real, for real. Like, hey, men go
Yeah.
through something too. People think that women be the only ones. I know you saying from a man's point of
That's
view,
right.
men need to be honest. Let me be transparent. Men need to be more honest and realize, yeah, it hurt. Yeah, it stings. Yeah, you having problems and emotions. Yeah, it's gonna be a big financial hit if things not together. You going from just paying just your bill. Now you got to pay child support. Now you got to go travel. Now you got to spend more for your
Hmm.
children. It's all kind of aspects to look at when you're going through that healing and not worrying about what people think. Get it for yourself. Get the
Right.
healing for yourself. Get the breakthrough for yourself. So if a man that is listening is going through that, it's okay to not be okay, bro. It's okay. There was many days
Absolutely.
my friends knew I ain't doing good today. Okay, let's talk. I'm not doing good. Let's video chat. Get it out. Cry it out. Whatever you got
Right.
to do, get it out. Because if you don't get it out and you hold it in, it's
Mm.
going to tell you on the inside. I didn't want no health issues.
Right.
I didn't want no mental issues because I wasn't talking, I wasn't dealing with things. But it was a good, I say it was a good journey because I discovered so much about me. So my
Yeah.
happiness and my freedom now and the confidence I have now is because I dealt with me. And I'm gonna say one other thing before I transition. I went to her and apologized and made things right
Mm.
about things that wasn't done right or wasn't said right. I wanted to clear my conscience and my spirit because I didn't want what God had for me to be hindered
To be
because
held
I
up.
didn't go
Yeah.
back and made
Right.
things right. And when I was doing that, boy, baby, my God help me here today. God had blessings that was being released so quick because I was doing the work. I was owning up to
Right.
whatever needed to be owned up to. And I remember one time while I was at a restaurant with my best friend, we was sitting there eating. She came in one day. I ain't never told the story publicly, but I wanted to see the kids. So she came in with the kids. I'm like, what you coming here for? I want to see the kids. I ain't coming to see you. We all joking. My best friend was there. And next thing you know what? I had a breakdown.
Mm.
I said, I'm so sorry for everything I did to you. Like, I'm so, please forgive me. And my best friend witnessed, like, oh my God. She's like, what is going on in this restaurant? It's just like deliverance and making it right just came upon me because I didn't want her to have that look at me like, oh, he living his best life and he ain't made it right with me.
Mm.
I just didn't want, you know how it is. Come on, man. Some
Yes.
women think that, but I
Yes.
want to be a man that be different. So if I do find love again, which I pray that I find love again, which is on me, that the fact that my next woman will understand he know how to hold and be accountable for himself, know how to
Mm.
be forgiving and know how to forgive others, but know how to make it right and own up to your own wrong. When I see me doing that and going through those processes and getting that stuff out, I said my life gonna be great because I don't want my past marital issues and problems and failures to
Right.
hinder my future. And someone
Yes.
said, "No, I don't want to be with you because you ain't got yourself together. You gonna do me like you did her or whatever." But when you free yourself, it makes it easier and better. So I'm sorry, I done took over that
Oh
part.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Accountability is up there because if you don't have no accountability for yourself,
Yes, yes,
you don't have no integrity. If you can't be
no integrity.
accountable, you're not gonna have no integrity. And Ship said, "Sides are taken, lines are drawn, backs are turned, but eyes are open, and you learn hard lessons." Listen, I learned so many hard lessons, and when I began the healing process, which, most times we reject and we try to bypass it because we think we need closure on certain things, and we want to be heard, or we want the apology, or we want this and we want that, and we're not going to always get that. But for me, and I also did that mirror check, and baby, I did not like what I saw. And
Jesus.
because we don't want to admit that we are nasty sometimes, that we're
Very
hateful
nasty.
sometimes.
Yes.
We don't want to admit the bad things about ourselves. I'm just gonna be this way. I'm gonna just keep acting this way. But God was like, first of all, I didn't even send you to get married. And
Mm.
that
Uh
just took
oh.
me out. He said, where was I in the conversation? And I mean,
Mm.
like I said earlier, we didn't. He said, I didn't authorize that. That was an unauthorized covenant.
Ooh, I
So
like that.
first of all, that was an
Unauthorized.
unauthorized covenant. I had to eat
Oh,
that.
Jesus.
And I was
I ain't
like,
know that.
okay.
No.
And
God, I need
then
to be
he just
authorized.
started showing me myself. And it was hard to look at because I was like, I'm a good person. But no, baby, you were not. And the realization was we were each other's emotional bully. We were emotional bullies to each other. Toxic with the mouth, never physical or anything like that, but we were toxic with our mouth. We were the tit for tat bullies.
Mm.
We were emotional bullies. And to have the conversation later on in years, like, I'm sorry that I actually did XYZ, that I said these things, that I didn't
Yes.
support you more, that I didn't make you feel appreciated more. And the weight, once I released that and first acknowledging, like you said, if we don't acknowledge the problem, we can't heal from it. Because how can we heal from something that's a lie? If we're lying to ourselves, we can't heal from that. So until we acknowledge, okay, this is the facts, this is reality, then we can heal from something properly. Because if we ain't facing what's true, then what are we doing? We just fabricate, adding on to the lies, and it just spreads and it just changes who you are. And that did me like, maybe 20 plus years before I got
Wow.
my, yeah, crazy 20 plus years. I was living in this. I ain't changing. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I didn't do nothing. I'm the
Yeah, in
victim. You know how we
denial.
look. We got to play the role.
That's the but you know what? And that hinders us from getting to greater places.
Absolutely.
You know what? I did something. My book came out last year, March of last year, and the Lord instructed me to do a tour, a book tour. I said, God, I'm a little book tour. I ain't got but these many books, and where I'm going to go. And He gave me a book tour, and then He told me, He said, in the book tour with a service. I said, what? He said,
Mm,
in the book tour with the service. I said, okay, what is that? How is that all going to tie in? He said, call prophetess Terry Raven, she was a prophet at the time, and
hmm.
ask her to come to be in that service. The Lord spoke to me. She didn't know from me verbally that God was sharing with me that will be your service of public healing and deliverance for yourself through all that you went through. That she was going to pray over you, work with you to get some things that I was dealing with. People had no idea. If nobody never showed up, that service was for me. One night with the prophet so she can speak into my life, pour into me, pray over me, things that was in me that need to come out. I was willing to be whatever. I rolled on the
Right.
floor, I cried, I laid out. I'm talking about, Lord, this is my public deliverance. If I'm going to speak to the world and you tell me to
Hmm.
mute the mic, I have to be the example to let folks know sometimes we all can be jacked up and we need
Right.
help and we need God.
Absolutely.
And I went through a public deliverance and it was like, God, I needed that. And she came to Vidalia, Georgia, and that was part of my healing process. Even with that tour, God said, end it with a word, end it with a praise, end it with showing people that sometimes you are fallible, sometimes you need to be
Right.
loved, sometimes you need to be corrected,
Oh yeah.
sometimes you need to be
We don't
told the
like that.
truth, and sometimes you need to be called out, straight called out.
We
And
don't like that.
that was a part of my one of my biggest healing and deliverance. And she conducted that in Vidalia, Georgia. When I tell you, I remember screaming and hollering and like, Lord, just forgive me for all that I just did and went through. You got me feeling good right now, girl. When I tell you that lady worked on me that night, oh, I will
Yeah.
never forget that. Oh, I will never forget. So that was a part of my healing journey and process of realizing there were some things in me that I needed to work out within my spirit that I wasn't settled within me. And
Right.
sometimes we have to understand and accept you ain't settled within yourself. Get yourself together and figure
Right.
out what's going on so you can be healed properly and you can help people and be a
Yeah.
great asset to people, your family, and people will be more prone to want to be around you to know that you're not being the victim. You just make it all about somebody else. I told
Yeah.
her, you know what, you can tell everybody it was not my fault. Whatever you want to say, I take the blame,
It don't
whatever the
even
case
matter no
is,
more.
it only matter I come clean. A few people that I met, I was like, hey, you might not want to talk to me. Why is that? I click here. It wasn't so great. I was the problem. I was this. So I ain't even feel worthy to even want to talk to nobody seriously because it's like, who gonna want me after all I done been
Right.
through and experienced? But
Right.
that healing process, it makes you feel better. So I'm sorry, I had to plug that part in there.
Yeah. And it releases so much weight. That listen, that
Oh God.
mental weight.
Yes.
Mental weight is so much heavier than any physical weight that you can pick up. You
Yes.
you can't function, you can't make proper decisions, clear decisions. You can't really, you just existing. You
Existing.
just fighting to exist daily because you can't
Yes.
function because you got all this other mess. But like you were saying, we
Say
don't
it
like
again.
correction. We
Nope.
don't like correction. We don't like to be called out. We don't want that because it's contrary to what we portray in public.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you have
Gotta be
this,
real.
oh, I'm saved and I walk in the spirit 24/7. Really?
The devil
So
is a
when
lie.
somebody call you out for your sins over here, then you want to hide. Then you want to be
Yep.
offended. Then you want to walk in the spirit of offense because you've been called
Yes.
out.
Called out.
But
Yep.
deliverance is not pretty.
Nope. It's not.
Deliverance ain't pretty. Praise ain't pretty.
No, it's
So
not.
if you think you're gonna be like, okay, deliver me. No, baby, you got to put in the
No,
work for
baby.
that.
You
Your
got to put that
soul
work
got to
in.
desire that before you can
That's it.
say, I need deliverance. And
Yes.
then do you even believe that you can be delivered? Because
Be
we get in
delivered.
our head, we're like, like you said, ain't nobody gonna want me now that I'm divorced. Ain't nobody gonna want me now that I'm at this age and single, or
Yep.
that I done did this or I done did that. But if your past, if you don't let your past die, it won't let you live.
She won't let you live. I
Period.
love that. Yes, sir. Wow.
So I'm like, what else for that healing process? I'm talking about like I did not like looking at myself. I would look away from mirrors like I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that. And God was like, baby, you keep asking me to take the pain away. You want me
Yep.
to take away the hurt. You want to feel better. You want to be able to move on, but you don't want to do the work.
You
It
want to
don't
do the
work
work?
like
Yep.
that. And I was mad
It
with
don't.
God. I'm like,
Who'd
now,
you tell it?
look, God, now I go to church. I do this, I do that. Why am I still hurting? Why do I have
Yep.
to deal with this? He over there living his life. And God was like, I need to get you together.
Get
Because
you
my
together.
prayers were when we were married, fix him, make him better,
Fix
make
him.
him do
Fix
this.
her.
And then
Yep.
one day he said, change your prayer to fix you.
That's
God
it.
changed me. And I was
Working
like,
on you.
because I'm good. I'm the best wife ever. And that's all he kept saying. And then I started praying, God changed me. And when I started changing, his behavior changed. And he was like, that's
Mm.
all I was telling you. Sometimes it's us. Sometimes it ain't the other person. Sometimes it's us.
Yes.
And because we don't want to deal with the real us,
The real
our
us.
true
Yep.
reflections, we make it about other people. Oh, they did this to me. Oh, they did that to me. We had no accountability because we don't.
Yep.
No,
None.
you ain't finna say I did nothing. But if you can't be accountable, you have no integrity. You don't want to
Yes.
be corrected. You can't grow. So that was
And
it.
you're
Was
hindering your
it?
blessing. Yeah,
it oh,
you're hindering what
man,
God has for you. God could
it's
be right
held
there at the
up.
brink of ready to bless you, and because you can't deal with yourself and own up to it, you will miss out on so much. I will never forget that year and how things were happening so fast. It literally blew my mind that I started quickly dealing with this deliverance and ownership. Man, I said, wait a minute. I said, God, if you're doing this, if I talk about this, okay, God, what if I deal
Exactly.
with that? Okay, God, what if I deal with this? Okay, what if I really admit this problem? What more you gonna do for your boy? Cause you doing mighty good right now. So I had to realize God wants honesty.
Oh
His
yeah.
love is his love is so unconditional. He's so compassionate. He wants us to just come to him just as raw, as naked, as just whatever, because he wants to give
Hmm.
us a better life and show us a better way by just being that authentic who we really
Right.
are, unperfect. We're undone. We're not fully made all, but he just wants us to realize and to acknowledge that, so he can fill us, so he can work on us, so he can remove
Yeah.
certain things. But if we don't acknowledge it and deal with that, and always talking about, well, yeah, this is what she did, and this is how she did it. Don't
Hmm.
nobody know about this. I could throw them
Right.
under the bus if they only knew this. I could shut them down. Throw that out the window. Throw it
Right.
out the door. Work on you, boy. When I started
Hmm.
working on Marcel,
Yeah.
and I started rediscovering me, it wasn't even the look and all that stuff. It was just my mindset. I freed my mind. I was
Right.
bound in my mind, how I thought, how I seen things naturally, how I seen things spiritually. And I had to look and realize you got 3 children that you got to see about, that you got to live an example. What
That's
you
right.
didn't do before, you got to be able to carry out the rest of their life to show them, hey, this is the better life. Because one day they may decide to get married. They may one day decide to get into a relationship. What example are you going to have for them going forward now? What
Right.
example are you going to show what dad looks like now than what dad was before? Those are the consequences that we have to come into an alignment when we do that. So anyway, this is getting
Absolutely.
good. I'm enjoying this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This
Woo.
this is good. And I know you mentioned that you're hopeful, but in your singleness, because it's
Yes,
hard for people to deal with singleness when they're hoping
let's
for
talk
marriage.
about it. Let's talk about it.
So and it was hard for me. I was like, I don't want to be nobody girlfriend. I want to be a wife. But God was like, you ain't ready for that. But
Ooh,
what? Uh-uh. Mm-mm. In this period, I'll prepare you to be a wife. And then
Uh-oh.
when I'm done with you, the man that
Mm.
you're supposed to have will have no problems finding you. My problem is,
Ooh.
and it's a lot of other people's problems, we don't want to wait.
Nope.
We don't want to wait. We like, is that him? Is that him? I said, look, God, the next time you gonna have to tell me 3 times, and I mean 3 times. That's him. You're gonna have to tell me, God, 3 times. 3 times. That's him, Nicole. That's him. 3 times. I ain't moving. 3 times. You
I,
gonna have to tell
I
me.
said, I told my best friend, I said, God gonna have to crack the clouds and let the trumpet play and stop the world for a while for the whole
Mm.
God Jesus to come out and speak for Marcel. I'm talking about for real. They were laughing. I said that trumpet better
Yeah.
sound so loud they gonna think it's the coming of Jesus. No, it's the coming of Jesus to speak to me because I want to hear God that clearly. I know we're being funny, but no, seriously, you want to. I made a statement on Facebook. I said many ask me why aren't you dating or in a relationship. Some even ask, will you marry again? I
Hmm.
tell people I'm staying focused on enjoying the single life. I
Right.
have learned to stay in my lane and do what's best for me. Even though it's not my time, doesn't
Right.
mean I'm not preparing for the right
Yeah.
time. Don't allow others to rush you into a relationship that's not ordained by God. And I
Come
also
on
want to
here.
say, my time will come, single and loving it.
Mm.
I had to learn how to be single, love me, love the quietness around here in this house. It's like, Lord, wait a minute. I'm used to noise and a woman. It's like, hey, God, hey, a
Yeah.
brother got needs. Yo, Jesus, look, we need to talk, bro. Like, hey,
Hello.
what's going on? Hey, this is a
Tell the
lot I'm
truth,
gonna have to
shame the
deal
devil.
with. Yeah, I'm saying the devil. I ain't worried about
Yeah.
these folks. Hey, listen here. I'm the radio man. Tell the truth, don't lie. Hey, I ain't worried about it. But the fact of it is, Lord, how am I gonna deal with all this quietness and these hormones and everything I got? And
Hmm.
most of all, partnership. We was
Yes.
in business together. Partnership. So you mean to tell me I got to learn how to do this by myself?
To start over.
Figure this out.
Mm.
I'm a single man. Who gonna come in here and help clean? Cook some food. Hey, I'm hungry. You gotta figure that
Right.
out, bro. That stove, you gonna have to cook. You gonna have to wash some dishes. You gotta clean this house. You got to figure out what single life look to you and learn how
Hmm.
to enjoy it, Marcel.
Right.
Many times we so in a hurry that we don't know how to enjoy being by ourselves and telling
Right.
somebody I'm single.
And
We
then
don't
if
know
you
how to
can't
enjoy.
enjoy yourself, how somebody else gonna enjoy you? You don't even like yourself. Come on now.
Listen, I had to learn how to watch Netflix by myself and learn how to entertain myself. I had to learn how to come home and it's quiet and how to figure out how to be Marcel and enjoy Marcel. I had to
Yeah.
learn that. That was very, very hard when you're used
Hmm.
to somebody so
When you're used
long.
to it. Yeah.
You ain't got nobody to say, you need help with this, is going on. So I had to learn that. And in learning that, that was a hard process at times. But
Yeah.
I had to learn that it was important not to rush. And one thing I tell myself, I tell people all the time, I applaud myself for not rushing into a serious and committed relationship right after getting divorced or right after separating. I
Yeah.
applaud myself. It's been a year and 8 months. And boy, I applaud myself on that. Don't get me wrong, I met some nice, amazing, beautiful ladies. I did, yes, I did. But I was not in a relationship. But I
Right.
had to learn, hey, you cool, we good, we got to eat, have a great time. I'm single now. You single, I'm single, we good, you good. You understand? I need to have to learn how to deal with me and learn
Right.
how to rediscover and understand me. That was hard. And even to tell females that was hard too, because it's like, well, I mean, you don't like me. What's wrong with me? Ain't nothing wrong with you.
No, but we
I'm
prefer
trying
the
to what
truth.
I'm trying right. I ain't lying. Wait a minute
Yeah.
now. The radio man will tell no lie.
Yeah.
The devil is a lie. I ain't no lie. He is one, and he can keep that. But I'm saying is when you honest with yourself and honest with people, they will respect you more when it's that. And
Absolutely.
so me
A
me
woman will.
learning how a man do too now. Cause wait a minute,
Keyword.
wait, we ain't gonna go there
Keyword.
tonight. Cause these
No,
women,
I'm
I done
saying
found out.
a real woman and a real man will accept the truth.
Yeah, I was being funny. Yes,
Everybody else, mm-mm,
every
they can't
yeah,
handle it.
people will lie to you and all kind of stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah.
But like that's for another podcast, another show, probably say for my show.
Oh yeah.
But that's another whole ball game with that. But I had to learn how to embrace and enjoy singleness and to maximize my time while being
Absolutely.
single. The man said the other day at a singles conference, I had the opportunity to host talk a part of it, panel discussion. He was saying this is the best time for you to come up You don't have to acknowledge anybody on decision making. You can do what you want to do. You can make decisions, whatever you need to do. Fix yourself up, build you up, be the see the best version of you, build
Yeah.
the best version of you. He even went on to say, he made me think. He said, if you single, you should never be broke when you single. You ain't got to consult. He said you should be enjoying life and do whatever you got to do to
Yeah.
achieve whatever goals that you've had and you couldn't achieve before, even either with relationship or marriage. This is the time to achieve those goals. I heard Terry Raven say this is the time to be focused on what you're supposed to be doing in that season and doing what you need to be doing. And I heard her say on her live today, the wait will be well worth the wait.
Yeah.
If you enjoy the singleness, enjoy God working on you, the wait will be well worth the wait. When she said that, Lord have mercy, Jesus, it gave me hope again to
Yeah.
say maybe one day it may come. Until then, enjoy this. Enjoy whatever you got.
Right.
Maximize it. Enjoy the new single person who you are. Rediscover you. So when that person who come along, they have
Yeah.
something to go by.
Yeah.
This is who Marcel is. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's what
And
I'm
then
talking
you will know it too. And you won't have to be like pretending to be somebody else because you already know who you are. You're secure in who you are. And you,
man. Yeah.
yeah, but we're
Love
not
to
going to
hear
be
that.
out there making no commitments because you can't be committed to me if you can't commit to yourself or God first.
Yes, most definitely.
So,
I'm looking at some of these comments over here.
yeah, but this was good. And we're up at the hour, but I want to mention your book, God Trusted
Yeah,
Me with the Mic. Listen.
that he did.
Like I told you earlier, I read the book today, and who told me to read it at work? But baby, that chapter I told you about, let me see.
Yeah,
I ain't writing your book, but letting go. I
yeah.
took
Letting go.
letting go took me all the way under because I was
Wow.
like, was he in my closet when he wrote this? When he wrote this part about all the dark days and the struggle, and it is a very good book, y'all. It is called God Trusted Me with the Mic. You will not be disappointed. I read it today. But this was a good conversation, and I like to be a good
Yeah.
steward of our time. And we are up at the
Okay.
hour. Is there anything else you want to add to it before we say
I
good
do.
night?
Yes, I do. I hope someone had took something great out of what I said tonight and shared some nuggets
Absolutely.
of wisdom. Knowing that take time to heal as you're going through your divorce. For someone who's going through a divorce and experiencing divorce, I encourage you to take time to heal. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with others. Forgive yourself. Forgive others, and see the better version of you. Build work on you, and stay focused. You never know what great things God may have in store for you. You never
Right.
know who may come along in your life. But just enjoy your new life and enjoy what you're doing and work on your dreams and aspirations. As I say on my radio show all the time, whatever God is calling you to do, you do it. Go after it. Obey God. The blessings is in the obedience. Thank you
Oh
for this
yeah.
opportunity to be on your platform. I've enjoyed myself, and hopefully we'll do it again. And I'm gonna get you on my platform too.
Oh yeah. So this is going to wrap up the episode of season 2. Thank you again for coming on, Marcel. Now
You're
you all
welcome.
can follow me on my Facebook page, Home Speaks. You can follow me on Spotify for my podcast, Home Speaks, and you can go to my website, www.beautyforashes8. That's the number 8.com to purchase my book, which is right here. Beauty for Ashes, the story behind the breakthrough. You can find that on Amazon. Marcel, tell us about your business and how people can reach you.
Okay. First of all, with my radio show, you can listen to me every weekday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on WUTU 88.3 FM Albany, GA. Streaming online on my website. That's www.mmradioshow.com. I'm there. Also, my production company, McManus Productions. We do media, photography, um, different things when it comes down to media. You can contact me on my Facebook page, which is McManus Productions. And also, my contact number directly is 912-245-5287, and all for your media production needs. And I'm your radio man, and we bring on great gospel music, uplifting interviews, biblical discussions, and so much more on the Marcel McManus Radio Show.
Don't forget his book.
And my book is on my website too as well. We're in the process of modifying the book. Some things has changed and we'll get ready to modify that. And I'm working on another book dealing with relationships as well. So follow me on Facebook because I'm always posting different relationship stuff. And but you can get my book on my website and we'll get ready to reorder and relaunch it again.
All right. Well, good people, that's all we have for you on tonight. I pray that something has been said that will give you a better understanding of divorce and what happens after. And one thing I want to leave with you guys is don't carry shame and guilt behind your divorce. If that's what needed to be done, only you and that other person, that's y'all's business.
Yeah.
So don't allow anyone, and that includes family and church, to make you feel a certain way about your decision to get divorced. Don't let them, because if they don't have to deal with the consequences of your actions, they shouldn't be in your business anyway. But that's all I'm going to say on that. I believe it like that. Thank you all again for coming on, staying with us. Thank you all that's online right now. Appreciate it. And as always, remember you are appreciated, needed, valued, heard, and most of all, you are loved. And every day God wakes you up, He gives you beauty for ashes. I'm your host, Nicole, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.